Let's not waste any time and get straight to it. Sati rituals. Sati is a ritual that was practiced in 6th century India. The ritual involves a recent widow to off themselves on their recently deceased husband's grave. The husband was usually burned on a pyre. As this was happening, it was expected of the widow to stand atop the flames and be burned as well. It was believed that doing so would purify the husband and the widow's sins and misdeeds. This would essentially grant them both access to a desirable afterlife. Sometimes the widows went willingly as it was seen as the honorable thing to do, but other times they were pressured into the act by Brahmins. And by pressured, of course I mean grabbed by the arms and tied down to the pyre. Surprisingly, this was practiced up until pretty recently, with the last case happening in 1987. Scary. New fire ceremony. This ritual was practiced every 52 years in November as the Aztec solar cycle has ended. The ritual would begin with all fires being extinguished across the land. The ceremony involved high priests gathering at the top of a platform on a mountain that was visible to the whole city. They waited until midnight in the precise alignment of stars to signal for the ceremony to start. At this very point, a human sacrifice was made. The high priest cut out the heart of the living victim and a fire was started in the empty cavity. If the fire burned brightly, then the people were blessed with another son. If it didn't, the world would end. Thankfully, the flame always burned well within the victim. The fire was then used to light a huge pyre so all could see the success of the ritual. After this, runners ran with torches to relight the city and ensure another 52 years of life. Egyptian retainer sacrifice. Ancient Egyptians took their afterlife very seriously, so when pharaohs died, they were often buried with their worldly possessions. This was done just in case they needed it in the afterlife. Unfortunately, servants at this time were also considered possessions, and just as, if not more important in the afterlife. These servants were killed by strangulation or just plain cyanide poisoning. The worst part is that they were assigned since birth, so they had to serve for their entire life. And now, because Pharaoh needs them, they must serve in the afterlife as well. This is probably a good case of why you shouldn't try to overachieve at work. You might get rewarded with more work. Luckily, not all servants were fortunate enough to live in eternity with the almighty Pharaoh, and some got to retire. Pharmacos. When disaster struck ancient Greece, you would not want to be a thief, or a handicap, or ugly for that matter. This is because these are the exact victims of the ritual of Pharmacos. Pharmacos is the expelling of an individual that represented the embodiment of evil. When crisis occurred, these members of society were used as scapegoats for the community. This person will be paraded through the city, subjected to humiliation and abuse, and then exiled or executed. After this was done, it was believed that the ritual purified and cleansed the community of its sins and troubles. Of course, the problems didn't just magically go away and they had to face them head on. However, they always kept the second option in their back pocket, just in case they wanted to make an example of some poor, ugly, handicapped old lady. Wicker Man. The first evidence of this ritual being practiced was by the Celts in the 1st century BC. This ritual was performed by druids who sacrificed people and animals. These people, who were often criminals, were stuffed inside a large wooden man. This man of men was then set ablaze and left until nothing but ashes remained. They didn't want to waste anything, so those ashes were then used to fertilize crops. Now, it is noteworthy to mention that these accounts were primarily from the Roman general Julius Caesar. Some speculate the accuracy of his accounts, as a structure that large comes with more than a few minor complications, especially if this monument is filled with live men. Burning wooden men has been prevalent throughout history, but it's hard to say if it was used in the exact way described. I tried to explain it as accurately as I could, but it's always important to do your own research. Anyway, that's all I have for this video. Stay cool and peace out.